Fatherland videos. Today we have a Uncle Remus folktale. Today's folktale is coming from The Complete Tales of Uncle Remus by Joel Chandler Harris. We're here on page 597. How old Cranny Crow lost his head. One day, while Uncle Remus was preparing some wild cherry bark for a decoction, which he took for his rheumatism, the little boy, who was an interested spectator of the proceedings, chanced to hear a noise overhead. Looking up, he saw a very large bird flying over. He immediately called the attention of Uncle Remus to the bird, which was indeed a singular-looking creature. Its long neck stretched out in front, and its long legs streamed out behind. Its wings were not very large, and it had no tail to speak of, but it flew well and rapidly, apparently anxious to reach its destination in the shortest possible time. Uncle Remus shaded his eyes with his right hand as he gazed upward at the bird. "Laws of mercy," he exclaimed. "Is there anybody ever see the beat of that?" He knew well that the bird was a blue heron going to join his kindred in Florida, but he affected great surprise at sight of the bird and continued to gaze at it as long as it remained in sight. He drew a long breath when it could no longer be seen and shook his head sadly. "If she ain't got no more sense than what her great granddaddy had, I might sorry for her," he declared. "What kind of bird is it, Uncle Remus?" the child inquired. "Folks used to call them cranny crows, honey, but now they ain't got no name but this plain blue crane. And I don't know whether they will such a big name. Yet I ain't got nothing again that I knows more than that. When I remembers about that old granddaddy crane what drifted into these parts many a long time ago, 'twouldn't take much for to make me feel right sorry for the whole kid and billing on them. They such a start natch for food. But what is there to be sorry about, Uncle Remus?" the little boy asked. He was rapidly learning to ask questions at the proper time. "About they having such a little grain of sense, honey. If you know what I does, I don't know if you're a bit tickled or if you be sorry. And it is the same way with me. When I think of that old great granddaddy crane, I don't know whether to laugh or cry. This was small satisfaction to the little boy, and he was compelled to inquire about it, as this precisely what the old nigger wanted him to do. He lost nothing by being inquisitive. There was one time, I don't know the day and I don't know the year, but twas one time they come a big storm, the wind blowing a hurricane, and the rain like all day. The sky done clouds and done been turned to water. That wind blows so hard that it lifted old Cranny Crow from his root in the lagoons way down, y'all, where they live at, and fetch him up at these parts. And when he come a whirling. That wind took him up, it did, and turned him round and round. And when he lit what he did, he staggered this like he was drunk. You know how you feel when you been turning round and round? Well, that was with him. He was so drunk that he had to lean up again in a tree. But 'twa'n't too long for he gone to feel all right, and he look round for to see where he at. He look, but he ain't fin out crazy. He was a mighty far ways for home. Yet he feel the water halfway up his leg, and up old Cranny Crow in a place where he can do no little water. He kinda has to that a home feeling. You know how that is yourself. Well, that's how he was. A mighty far ways from home, and yet up to his knees in water. And yes, he stood there, he did, and took his ease, hoping for better times by and by. Now the place where he was blowed towards Long Cane Swamp, and I wish I had time for to take you over there and show you right where at when he was lit. And I wish I had time for to take you all though to the swamp and let you see for yourself what kind of thing it is. Tain't only there's a swamp, it's something wasn't there. You can't stand in the middle of it, and most here it catches breath, and that what I say there ain't no swamp for all it look like one. Well, there was an old Cranny Crow, and there was the thing you call the swamp. And by, the sun rise and let his lamp shine in the places. And then old Cranny Crow had time for to look round. And see what he was at. But when he find out, he ain't know no more than what he was knowing at first. Now, you can say what you please, and you can laugh if you want to. But I'm going to tell you that the swamp know that they was somebody there and ain't belong there. If you ask me, somehow the swamp know. I shake my head and shut my eyes. If you ask me how I know it, I just laugh at you. You have to take my word or leave it. I don't care which. But there he was. The swamp know that somebody was there when ain't belong there, and went to sleep and had bad dreams. and they keep on having them dreams all day long. The little boy had accepted Uncle Remus's statements up to this point, but when he said that the swamp went to sleep and had bad dreams, the child fairly gasped with doubtful astonishment. Why, Uncle Remus, how could a swamp go to sleep? It's just like I tell you, honey. You can take my word or you can leave it. One way or the other, you won't be no better off than what you is right now. All I know is this, that you can't tell no tale than a tale when they don't believe it. Do you believe it, Uncle Remus? My mother says the stories are fables. Thus, the little boy was imbued, without knowing it, with the modern spirit of scientific doubt. Does you expect I tell you a tale that I don't believe? Well, I don't know how I put the words one after the other. When somehow ain't believing what I'm telling, honey, I just let me know and I won't take the time and trouble for to tell it. Well, tell me about the swamp and the old cranny crow, said the little boy, placing his small hand on Uncle Remus's knee coaxingly. Well, sir, if you so be I must, then I shall. Where was I? Yes, sir. The swamp been wide awake all night long. It bleeds to sleep. And during the day. And so, weird old cranny crow standing in the water. When the sun rise up, the swamp know that something was wrong. And it went to sleep and had mighty bad dreams. The sun rise and rise. It come up one side of the swamp, and after so long a time stood over it and looked down for to see what the matter. But bright as the swamp the sun was, it can't light up the swamp, and so it went on over and went down on the other side. Day was in about like these days is, and whilst the sun was arching around trying to fit to the fan out what the trouble is in the swamp, old Cranny Crow was widing about in the water trying to find some frog steak for his dinner, and maybe a fish for to wear his appetite on. But they won't nary frog nary fish. Crazy. The swamp done gone to sleep. The more old Cranny Crow waited, the more shallow the water got. 12 bound by, they wasn't nothing enough to do no more than wet his foot. He say, hey, how come this? But he ain't got no answer. Crazy. The swamp with all its bad dreams was sound asleep. There were pools of water running about, and old Cranny Crow went from one to the other, and from yother to the other, but ain't do him no good. He went and stood by, he did, but while he standing there, they want a rifle on top on him. By, he got tired of walking about, and he stood on one leg for the rest of himself. Though, if ain't nobody tell him how, you going to tell us yourself will he stand on one leg? I set up and tell him tales from now on to till Christmas. Crazy, and if I get tired, I can stand on one leg and do my resting that away. When there was old Cranny Crow and there was the swamp, old Cranny Crow was wide awake, but the swamp was fast asleep, and old Cranny Crow was wide awake in the swamp. Even had them bad dreams like it was a house or wagon going downhill. But the swamp Want no stiller than old Cranny Crow, standing on one leg, with one eye looking in the tops of the tree, and the other one looking down in the grass. But in the swamp of the swamp, time goes on and night drops down, and that's the way it done this time. And when night dropped down, the swamp kinda stitched itself and gonna take 'em up. Old bro Mud Turtle opened his eyes and sneezed so hard that he rolled off the bank into the water. Kaplash! And he so close to old Cranny Crow that he fetched it a hop sideways and come mighty nigh stepping on Mr. Billy's black snake. This scared him, so he fetched it and he hopping mighty nigh lying the frog which he been hunting for. The frog he say, "Hey!" and dove into the mud puddle. After that, when old Cranny Crow move about, he lift his foot high. He done like the lady does when they walk in the wet place. The whole caboodle was brand new to old Cranny Crow, and he looked with all his eyes and listened with all his ears. There was something in there going on, but he can't make out what it was. He ain't never been in no swamp before, most especially a swamp with got life in it. He been used to marshy places where there ain't nothing but water and high grass. But that where he find himself after the hurricane, and they want no big sight of the water, and what grass they was wasn't no longer than your finger. Instead of the grass and water, they was vines and reeds and trees and with moss on them that make them look like a grandson graybeard. And the vines and creepers look like they was reaching out for him. He walked about, he did, like a grown wood hot, and he looked like he was in stilts. His legs were so long, he hunt round for a place for to sleep, and whilst he was doing that, he took notice that there was something there went going on that he ain't never exceeded like him. The jackal and Malanta, they lit up and went sailing around just like they were hunting for him, and them frogs, they holler at him with, "What you doing here? What you doing here?" Mr. Coon racked by and laughed at him. Mr. Grizzly Gray Fox peep-eyed and blushes and bark at him. Mr. Mink Show him their green eye, and Mr. Whippoorwill scold him. He moved back, he did, and after so long a time they let him alone and they went they way, wasn't nobody nor nothing busting him. He going to look around for himself. People fuss in one bush and then and he took notice that the other bird would fly by that had then gone to bed without their heads. Look what he mount. Old Cranny Crow ain't see no bird, but what he had took his head off for. He went to bed. Look close as he see he ain't no bird with his head on. This make him wonder. And he asked himself, how come this? And the only answer we can think on is that going to bed with their heads was one of that gone out of fashion in that part of the old country. Now, you can say what you please, but the creatures and the kin about the fowls that fly and the feathery creatures, when they run on the ground, you can say what you please about them. But They got pride. They don't want to be out of the fashion. When it comes to that, they are pretty much like folk. And they was they way with old Cranny Crow. He don't want to be out of a fashion. He shameful to go to bed with all of he been doing. Crazy. He ain't want no others for to laugh and say he was from the country district. What they don't know much. You study he mouth. Ye done a wish a way to do for to get his head off. The others had their heads under their wing. But he ain't know that. He look round, he did, for to see if they ain't some on the kind of act about it. And he ain't have to look long none for the sitting right up on was old bro Popeye. But Uncle Remus, who was old brother Popeye? Inquired the little boy. Nobody in all the round world, honey, but Brer Rabbit. He had one name for the upland and a name for the bottomland, the swamps and the dreams. Whatsoever there was a mischievous going on right there with Brer Rabbit. Popeye, as big as life and twice as natural. He was so close to old Cranny Crow that he had to jump when he seed him. Bruh Popeye say, no need for to be scared, friend Cranny Crow. You may be more than show that I'm a well-wisher. Oh, Cranny Crow low. It do me good for to hear you say so. Mr. Popeye, and I seen that is you and some else. I don't mix and asking you how all the flying bird take their heads off when they go to bed. It sure stumps me, bruh Popeye say. And no wonder, friend Cranny Crow, Casey, you ain't stranger in these parts. There ain't nothing to hide about it. The skeeters is being so bad in this swamp since the year 1. And the enduring in the time was gone by. That then when they live here, they got in the habits of taking off their heads and putting them in their safe place. The Cranny Crow low. But how in the name of goodness does they do it, bruh Popeye? Mr. Popeye laughed to himself, way down in his gizzard. He say, they do it by themselves, Casey. That it been asking too much. Oh no, they got some unhired for to do that kind of work. And what can I find them? Bruh Popeye sees old Cranny Crow, sees it. Brother Popeye low. He been around terribly. He allers have to go around for to see that he ain't missed none on him. Old Cranny Crow saw the study. He did, and then he low. How does they get their heads back on, bruh Popeye? Bruh Popeye shook his head. He say, I tell you if I know, but I have to stay up so much at night that long by the time when they get their heads put on, I'm sound asleep and snoring right along. If you say so, I'll hunt up the doc what does the business, and I expect he'll commemorate you. I can promise you that. Since you been so polite, old Cranny Crow. Laughing, say. I done fix and find out in time that they don't do nothing pay like per lightning. Especially if he or she shit going on. With that, bro, Popeye put out. He did. For the fine bird wolf. Knowing pretty well what he was. 'Twa'n't long for he to come galloping back. Bro Popeye say, Mr. Cranny Crow, this is Mr. Doc Wolf. Mr. Doc Wolf, this is Mr. Cranny Crow. Glad for to make you acquainted, gents. At this point, Uncle Remus paused and glanced at the little boy, who was listening to the story with almost breathless interest. You ain't got no handkerchief with you, is you? The old man inquired gently. Mother always makes me carry a handkerchief, the child replied. And it makes my pocket on my jacket stick out. Why did you ask, Uncle Remus? Casey, we are coming to the place where you need it, said the old man. You better take it out and hold it in your hand. If you gon' any tears inside of you, and they'll come to the top now. The child took out his handkerchief and held it in his hand, obediently. Well, sir, Uncle Remus went on, after they been made acquainted of old Cranny Crow, tell Doc Wolf about his troubles and how he want to do like the rest of the flying creatures. And Doc Wolf rubbed his chin and put his thumb in his waistcoat pocket for all that was like a sure enough doctor. He say to old Cranny Crow that he ain't so mighty certain and show that he can help him much. He say that in all his born day, he ain't never seen no flying creature with such a long neck, and that he have to be mighty and tickler how he fool with it. He went close. He did. And he fell on in a fumble with it all the time. His mouth was watering just like yonder when they see a piece of lemon pie. He say, you have to hold your head lower, Mr. Cranny Crow. And with that, he snapped down on it, and that was the last of the Cranny Crow. He ain't never see his home no more. And no more than that, old Doc Wolf slung him across his back and counted off home. And that's the reason that old Cranny Crows all fly so fast when they come through this part of the country. But why do you ask me to take out my handkerchief, Uncle Remus? Solomon. If you go and got your handkerchief when you cry, you can wipe off the weeps. And if you hide the puckers in your face,